GJ. So oh, Christian, I'm dead. So essentially what we do in this stream is we just go through scary stories. We either debunk them or we discuss them. And it's myself and a guest, and we go through and try to involve you guys when we can. And really and truly, the last few, the last few stories we've had are really cool. We've done everything from um, Black-Eyed Children. We've done just demons in general. We did a 3-part series with Alice G7 on aliens. That was cool. I'm trying to think of what else we did. We've done so much. We've literally covered pretty much every like scary topic except for succubuses and incubuses because those are weird. But those are like really the dolls, right? The dolls, we had the dolls, we had Annabelle and we had Robert the doll. We are going actually into I'm not trying to ignore anybody, guys. This is a show that's sponsored, or not sponsored, but featured. So I'm not trying to ignore anybody. I'm trying to get through my intro so I can let my guest in. So that's kind of how a show usually works. So I do apologize about that. So I'm going back through basically all of my past shows, as tonight is the last one. Touching back on the Annabelle doll, we are actually going in tonight discussing Ed and Lorraine Warren, just like some really popular stories that aren't wildly like known. They're known, but they're only known to the community. If you know anything about Ed and Lorraine, I went through, and there's a few that I didn't even know yet. There's a few that I was like, ooh, didn't know that that ever happened. I didn't know they were involved with that. There was one that I had no idea that they were involved with, which was really cool. Hi, guys. Tonight's special guest is going to be Miss Jessie. She is right here. If you would like to request the box, Jessie, we'll go ahead and hop right into it. We got a lot to cover tonight. Thank you, guys, by the way. I see you guys down there. Thank you. Thank you, Vampy. Hi, Pringles.
I'm so excited.
Hi.
I'm so fucking pumped. I don't know if I can say that on live, but I'm very pumped. So
We'll try to refrain from the F-bomb. I think now that I have the top, I'm not allowed to say it during a show, but it's okay. I didn't say it, you did. but but I'm so excited. Guys, if you haven't already gotten Jessie favorited, please do so. She is absolutely phenomenal, and she actually picked tonight's topic, so you guys can thank her for this really interesting topic. I figured because when you said Ed and Lorraine, I was like, let's find some stories that most people don't know about, because that's going to be really fun. Because we did do the Annabelle doll. We did the whole history on the Annabelle doll. We tapped into the movies that were made about it. And then just in general, the spirit that lies within Annabelle. I think four episodes back. Hi, Princess. So we did a few of them a while back. Oh, I guess my cat is going to make an appearance tonight. This is Waffles. Hi, everybody. Let me turn down my weird Renaissance music in the background so I can hear everybody just good, just fine. I guess the cat's staying here, so she's gonna chill. We're gonna just hop right into it, if you don't mind.
go for it.
Okay. So obviously we know about the animal doll. That in The Conjuring is highly known and widely known everywhere. Oh, she's being really sweet.
So I'm obsessed with it.
Yeah, it was such a good show. Can you just, hey, 1 second, please? Can you not maybe? Like, why are you being so bad? Just be over there. Okay. Sorry. Like the one show, of course, on the very last show of Uncover Paranormal, she actually makes a disturbance. I'm like, all right.
She knows.
She knows. It's like she knows. It's like, okay. It's like now I can be on the show. Now I can just make everything rough.
Yeah.
We're gonna start. I basically found, let me see how many there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10, that's right. 10 stories that are Ed and Lorraine stories, obviously. And if you guys don't know who Ed and Lorraine Warren are, Ed and Lorraine Warren are probably the most popular, widely known paranormal investigators, honestly, in our country. I don't know in the world, but probably in the world too. They're they've done a lot of work, and they're like these 10 stories don't even touch on everything that they've done. There's stories that I've dug up in other uncover paranormals that they've done too, that are like people never even talked about them before. People were like, wait, they did that? Or like this house, like someone would visit a house, and the house's owners would be like, yeah, Ed and Lorraine, verified that this house is haunted. Like there's a lot of things that they did. Outdoor King is correct. They also did Amityville, which is the one that I told you guys earlier. There was one that I didn't even realize they had like a touch in, and I have that on here on the list too. It's, I think, fourth on the list. I didn't realize that they were involved in the Amityville horror house. That was cool. Um, I loved it. But we're gonna go ahead and hop right into it. So, um, welcome to Uncover Paranormal, everybody. Sorry, I'm like trying to collect myself after today's event. So, we're gonna start out with the Borley Church haunting, and I'm gonna ask if you've ever heard of this one.
I have. I haven't gone into detail because after I read the beginning, I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna run away.
This one scares me because anything that has to do with like nuns always creeps me out. Nuns and children, because those are the two things that shouldn't be demonic, but they are in these. Like, so if you guys aren't familiar, this is a haunting that the Ed and Lorraine, the Warrens. I'm gonna just refer to them as the Warrens. This is one of the hauntings that they were involved in, and I'm just gonna tell the little synopsis, and then we'll talk about it, and that's gonna be how we kind of like go through and navigate these tonight. I always do it a little bit different. I don't think I've ever had like a solid like outline for the show, because it always depends on what we're talking about in
It's nice
paranormal
when
realm.
people come through and they're like, oh, wow, this is really interesting. It's not the same every night, it's different.
Yeah. So, the grounds upon which the Borley Church now reside have housed various religious edifices since the 11th century. I said 11th, really weird. I'm sorry, that was weird. Folk- Folklore claims that the earliest hauntings that there to have, wow, dyslexia, originated in the 14th century following the execution of a nun who had an affair with a monk, but the first substantial reports came in the 1860s. The Warrens traveled to Essex, England, and to investigate claims of ghostly chanting and ethereal organ music, accompanied by the ghost of a monk and a nun roaming the grounds. Serving as the inspiration for The Nun, a potential film of this case would not only be terrifying but reveal. Oh, that last part I should have cut out. Whatever. Um, but basically the website that I got all of these off of was talking about how these are like some of the more monumental hauntings that they had part in, and that these are something that, if anybody wanted to make a movie out of, that these would definitely have a lot of like
A lot of
substance.
yeah,
Yeah.
substance in it. Would gain a
So
lot of traction too, because like the story is so like detailed and just like extreme that it's like anyone would want to listen to it or watch it. Makes for a good movie.
thank you, birthday boy. I see you. Um, so this one really creeps me out because of I've seen The Nun. I don't know if you guys have seen The Nun. Obviously, I know when it comes to Hollywood films and the actual thing, there's not much correlation, but it does when you have like something to compare it to. It does kind of give you the chills because it's like, ugh, like The Nun, uncomfortable, uncomfy the whole time. I didn't like it. And I don't really get scared a lot, but when it's nuns or monks, like religious, like people, and also children, I get really uneasy because those are two things that should not be scary, but they are. And so I think the Borley Church haunting. If you guys, by the way, have any questions about which ones these are, I can repeat them too, because I know I talk fast, so you can just be like, "Hey, Blair." But I really like this one. Again, it made me creepy, made me feel creepy because of the nun thing and the monk thing. But I really enjoyed reading about that one because I was like, "That's really good.
This is
It's
really
really,
weird and cool.
mhm, it's really strange." Interesting too that it was in England. I really like that they have traveled all over the world for hauntings
Everywhere.
everywhere.
Everywhere. And I don't know if like everybody who's watching knows, but they actually have a daughter, and her son-in-law is, or their son-in-law, Ed and Lorraine's son-in-law, is the one that actually looks over their current museum now. And it's like filled with crazy hoodoo, crazy things and very scary.
Wow.
And they have a YouTube
I love
channel,
that.
actually.
They have Annabelle too, don't they?
Yeah. And
Mm.
I'll send you later on one of your future shows or something you can show them, or maybe even now. They have a YouTube channel and they'll walk you through their entire museum and they'll tell you stories that Ed and Lorraine even haven't published. And it's crazy. And you learn all about it on their YouTube. Yeah.
That's so cool. Okay, so I know what I'm doing after the stream. Um, that'd be so much fun to go to. I need to go. Do they like have tours?
They actually do have physical tours of the museum and they tell really weird stories. There's actually one that's pretty short. I'll kind of explain it now. Basically, like a pastor or somebody who was like a very prestigious um, Christian or Catholic, just highly praised person came in on a tour, and he was walking around and he saw the Annabelle doll and he went up to it, and it has a sign that says like don't touch, like don't even like make eye contact with, really, like don't touch. And he touched the box and it like jolted him back in the room, like flung him in the room. There's a story about a couple who was on a motorcycle. They came in on a motorcycle, they stopped off, they went in the museum, and the guy started like saying shit to the doll and constantly saying stuff to the doll, like, oh my goodness, like this doll is like blah blah blah, making fun of the doll, mocking the doll. And Ed and Lorraine's son-in-law was like, you do not mock the doll, you do not say this stuff to the doll, you don't. But the guy just kept saying all this nasty stuff to the doll. So they leave and they actually get in a motorcycle accident on their way home and he supposedly died.
I heard about that too. They're similar to Robert the doll. Robert the doll, a lot of people have had to come back or send like a letter to say, "Hey, I'm sorry that I said this," because Robert the doll does the same thing if you like come into contact with him and say anything negative. Or sometimes honestly when you come into contact with Robert the doll too, I feel like the demon in him does the same thing.
Yeah, just ugh, like
Yeah. Zach Baggins did touch it. Zach Baggins also had a lot to do with Robert the Doll too. Oh my gosh, Miss Tigress. Miss Tigress, by the way, for a backstory, she's in here all the time, every Wednesday. And I don't think my guests understand, but Miss Tigress really wants to see a demon because she's never seen any kind of activity. And she really, really wants to see a demon. And so she will go to great lengths to disrespect it to try to see a demon, is just her goal. And I keep trying to tell her, don't, don't
well,
do that.
to go on a tour, she can go on a tour. But if you go on a
Insane.
tour, you will see when you're on that tour of like their museum. I forget where it is, but you might know. It's in somewhere in the States. And if you go on a tour, you will most definitely like see for yourself. Like they make you cleanse yourself with holy water before you go into this museum. Like it is scary. So like you might now be like, oh, I haven't seen a demon. I want to see a demon. I want to see this Annabelle doll. Like trust, if you went to this museum, girl, you would not want to be seeing no demons that day. Like let me tell you, if you watch the YouTube videos, you will want to hide under your blankets and go like this from some of the stories.
Creepy. Absolutely creepy. I don't know exactly where it's at, but they were saying Connecticut, New England. I do know that it's in the Upper East, like Upper East states. I just don't know quite where. Um, Creepy is all I will say. We're gonna move on to the next one. So another haunting that the Lorraines, the Warrens, there we go. Come on, Blair. The Warrens had a big thing to do with is what they call the apprentice. Um, and basically the Warrens' careers as paranormal investigators was inspirational to several others who followed in their footsteps. Among these demon busters, that's a really weird way to say that, but okay. Ghostbusters, demon busters, whatever, was John Zaffis, Ed's nephew, and an expert on paranormal investigation in his own right. Zaffis has over 43 years of experience. That's a lot, by the way. Combating internal and spectral enemies. No stronger, wait, no stranger, sorry. Let me like make this bigger really fast because a girl is blind. There we go. All right. Do, 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 do. I can't see. Guys, I am blind. When I tell you guys I'm blind, I'm not lying. Like, I cannot see anything. I'm like, Let's see. No stranger to media exposure, Zaffis has appeared on multiple television and radio shows to discuss his cases, as well as lecturing at universities and colleges. But he got to start with the Warrens, and it wouldn't be a big stretch of the imagination for a studio to chronicle his first case with them in a film. If successful, it could possibly set up another universe. So that's not necessarily an experience. That's just the dude that essentially a lot of people are spectating might take over, might like publish his new things. Um, I definitely should have read over these a little bit better before I put this on. I'm so sorry.
So good. You are spitting these facts.
Jesse knew what I went through today, so Jesse, I feel like understands. Um, guys, if you guys are new, if you guys are walking in, if you guys are coming in, I'm Blair Woods. I'm a singer songwriter, and on Wednesdays, well, this is actually the final Uncover Paranormal, but we're doing this every Wednesday at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now we're just gonna go back to normal singing streams and talking streams, but we have Miss Jessie right here in the box. Jessie, what time do you normally go live so they can catch you?
Anywhere from like 5 p.m. to like 11 p.m. So
there you go. There you go. When I see Blair, I think, oh, Miss Tigress. We did go over. Okay, I'm gonna ask you to leave, please. Goodbye. I love you very much. But bye bye.
bye bye.
We did. A lot of them are commenting underneath. We did go over skinwalkers, Dybbuk boxes, and stuff before as well. Those were some of the like first like few Uncover Paranormal shows that we had. Really, really creepy. Dybbuk boxes are no joke, man. Okay, the next one is the West Point haunting. So back in the 70s, the Warrens were called to a military academy in West Point, New York. When Ed and Lorraine investigated, Lorraine felt the presence of an Irish cook named Molly, who would knock over the wine bottles and mess up freshly made beds. The officers complained about a ghost moving objects around the quarters, which was later identified as a spirit named Greer. After some research, it was believed that the spirit was that of Lawrence Greer, who was a Buffalo soldier turned murderer. However, after his trial, there is no real record of what happened to the soldier. Weird.
I haven't heard that one, and that one's really freaky.
That one's really creepy. I wouldn't like living with a murderer. I don't care, even if I am a soldier. Like, even if I am like in the military, I wouldn't want to live with a murderer.
Nor would I. I'd be like, sayonara, I'm out.
Like, you can transfer me to a different station, please. I'm out. That's a no for me, Sergeant. Sorry.
Nobody knows who Ed and Lorraine Warren are. There's some really, really crazy paranormal people. I mean, they fight ghosts, demons, anything, you name it, they fight it. But what's crazy about Lorraine is she's so clairvoyant, like so incredibly, like she knows, like she can walk in a room and she can just instantly like pick up on energy and pick up like, oh, like how would she know it's like a soldier? Like how would she have like any idea of like who this guy was or like that he's like anything? Like you know what I mean? She walks and she knows. She just feels.
I don't know if Jesse probably has. If you guys haven't though, you guys should really YouTube some of their actual like they have some found footage that they did from some of their hauntings and in like in real life. And when this woman goes into like a building that is supposedly haunted, it's instantaneous. It is like exactly what Jesse said. It's instant. Like she just knows. And it's really cool because she's just like in my head, she's just like she's one of those that's just like, all right, there's somebody over there, their name's so and so, there's someone over there, their name's so and so, this person died. Like she just knows like instantly. I'm like i I would usually say thank you. I would usually say that I wished my clairvoyance was like that, but also I really don't want my clairvoyance, so I'd really rather not because I feel like that would attract more.
Yeah, I feel like being clairvoyant attracts wrong energy sometimes.
It does.
It like attracts all energy, and some of that energy is bad, which is kind of crazy. How do you feel with your clairvoyance? Do you ever talk about that in your show, like when you talk about other people's clairvoyance? Yeah.
Oh yeah. I don't really like mine, simply put, because I don't know how to control it. I don't know how to like turn it on, turn it off, like, you know, how to ignore things. So I could be having a normal few months where I don't feel anything. Like I just kind of feel energy, but I don't like have a paranormal experience. And then out of nowhere, even if I want to feel it or not, whether it's family members or not, I will just have a paranormal experience where it's like really weird and it's just either it's something that I don't like, it makes me uncomfy, or it's just a family member. But either way, it's like out of random. It'll just be like, hi, by the way, I'm here. It's nice to see you. Did you know that I was living with you? Because I am right now. And I'm just like, whoa.
Whoa.
I'm like, that's a lot to unpack there. You got to give me some warning. Or I'll be driving and my grandfather will visit me, like just randomly in the car. That's happened twice. And I'm just like, can you do it when I'm stopped at least? Like, it freaks me out.
You give me a
I'm
heart.
like, I'm like,
She's trying to kill me.
what? It's weird. Very weird. It's one of those things where I really wish that I could control it better. I'm sure that if I worked with someone who like knew more on it, that I would probably be able to, but I don't want to because I don't want to like be more in tune with it and then see more ghosts than I actually do.
Yeah, and then have way more shoved on your plate. Like imagine having like random people in your car or like random people like you're walking somewhere and this old lady just appears beside you and you're like, "Where did you come from?" You're on the toilet and somebody's just like, "Hey." Like, I don't want that. No, thank you.
Like, I gotta go. I got somewhere to be. It's just like really weird. Miss Tigress, you can have mine then. Here you go. I'm giving you my clairvoyance through the phone. I don't think that that's a thing, but if it was, I would.
Donate.
Tigress is like, I want it. Dead. If you guys are just coming in here, we're talking about Ed and Lorraine Warren, and we're talking about some of their stories that are lesser known but still known. Hi, everybody. Welcome in. This is the very last episode of Uncover Paranormal. So thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for sticking around. We've got Miss Jessie in the box right up here. Please don't forget to favor her and show her some love. We're going up to the White Lady of Easton now. Have you heard of this one?
That one's a really famous one, but like only amongst people who know
Yeah.
about things. Yeah.
I heard this one whenever I was researching the Annabelle doll, and that's when I first picked up on this one because I hadn't really like looked up any of their stuff until we started doing this show, and then I learned a lot about them during the Annabelle. This one's really cool. The White Lady of Easton is a ghost that people have been claiming to have seen for decades, including Ed and Lorraine Warren. Ed and several Easton police officers supposedly caught the ghost on film. This is the story that I really like the most because not only did paranormal investigators see it, but normal day-to-day people, police officers, see it. This is the one that I was talking about earlier, where you can find, some of these that are well known but not well known, unless you know about it. And this is one of the ones I picked up on that I thought was really cool because this was another one of those really strange ones where even police officers that were investigating saw everything and they can attest to it, and they said that they saw it and they all caught it on camera, and it was one of those really like whoa moments, like when everybody sees it and when it's apparent to everybody, even people who aren't necessarily clairvoyant. Those are the stories that I love because it's just like, yeah, stuff's real, man, and it's scary.
And other
But
people see it too. Normal, everyday people can see it too.
yep, especially the thing is too that I don't think a lot of people realize is it just depends on the spirit itself. You've got to think of them as people. If they want to be seen, if they want to be heard, and they really want to be seen and want to be heard, they will make it known that they are there. If they don't, then people who are clairvoyant probably can tap in on it, and they're probably like, like a lot of ghosts too, like I've seen some of them too, that like when I was in I went to a cemetery one time because I felt drawn to the cemetery, and when I walked around, I had calling to certain headstones. When we were leaving, I saw a random lady in the corner, and I thought it was a real person at first because it was that like clear as day, and I've never seen a ghost like that dense before, but she was just standing there. And I looked at Haley, I said, "You see that?" She was like, "Yeah." I was like, "She wasn't there before, was she?" I was like, "That's not a real person, is it?" And we went around. So like you guys know that drive-through cemeteries, they're usually like that. So ours was flat. The one that we were in was flat, and we basically drove, and we kept our eye on her, and she slowly faded away. And I was like,
So like she faded into the distance, or did she fade like just in your view, like you saw her like just disintegrate?
the best way that Haley and I could explain it is, do you guys know like holographic things like cards?
Mm-hmm.
How like if you're looking at it right here, it's plain as day, and then once it shifts like that, it's just and it slowly goes away. That's kind of what that spirit did.
So slowly, like just dissipated as it. Uh,
Yeah.
Ooh.
I was like, that wasn't a real person. We need to leave. I was like,
That's not real.
I was like, oh, when I can see them is whenever I'm out. When I can see them is when I peace out. I'm like, all right, it's cool when I can feel the energy and I can communicate. That's fine. I don't really mind that. It does take a lot out of me to communicate because you're literally pulling from your own energy to be able to communicate with their energy, if that makes sense. Um, but when I can see them is when I'm like, oh no, nope, no, 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 no. When I can see them is when I get too scared and I'm like, all right, I'm out. Bye.
Do you feel like when you feel them, it's easier to deal with than the sensation of like actually seeing?
Yeah. It's already really, really, really overwhelming feeling it, and then like especially being like someone who's empathic, feeling it and like feeling whatever mood that they were last in. I guess I don't know if it's when they were last in, or what they're, if they have consistent. I feel like they probably don't have consistent feelings. I feel like it's just whatever they died at. But I like will feel whatever they're feeling too while I'm conversing, and that's kind of how I can understand that I'm conversing with someone else, because it'll be a random mood change, and it'll just be like either really overwhelming sadness or overwhelming bliss and happiness, or just like at peace, kind of, like it depends on what I'm doing, but like it's already overwhelming enough to just feel that and experience that. To see it too was like, no,
Too
no.
much.
It's
Sorry,
like,
wifey J. Sorry, I'm gonna make this one comment, guys. She's in a show. This is a show. This is a show that she does. She can't answer comments. Thank you.
yeah, sorry guys. All right. So we are going, if you guys don't know, thank you, Jesse. If you don't know, we're going over Ed and Lorraine. We're going over, we just went over basically my clairvoyance. Lorraine Warren is one of the most sensitive clairvoyants. We were just talking about her, and her husband Ed did a lot of paranormal investigation, and we're just kind of highlighting a bunch of their either well known or not as well known, but should be well known ones. The only one we're not covering, really, I don't think, is Annabelle. I don't know if it made the list or not, but that's also because Annabelle, everyone knows Annabelle. You know, we've all seen the doll story. We've all seen the movie. Um, all right, so we're going on to the Donovan family. The Donovans called upon the Warrens in the 70s after becoming terrified of what was in their house. Have you heard of this one?
Yeah.
Okay, this one also scared me. This one and the white lady story are the two that I saw when I was looking up the Annabelle doll, and these are the two that I was just like, ew, creepy, weird. All right. So the Donovans experienced loud noises coming from inside their walls, but there were several other terrifying paranormal phenomenons that were more unique to their case. The wallpapers in their house would peel off the walls. At that part, I did not like. The water in their sink looked like blood, and there were hair-raising animal noises coming from different ends of the house. When a demonic entity makes its way into your house and alters things like that, that's the stuff I don't like. That's the I don't like, because that's creepy. Like wallpaper peeling off the wall. If it's an older house, maybe I could kind of understand that, but I still would not. I would be a little, if I was experiencing actual paranormal phenomena and then my wallpaper started peeling, I'd be like,
I'd move.
I'm out. Yeah. Like, I don't need to live here. Honestly, I don't even need a I don't need a house. I can go live in my car. It's cool.
On the street.
Yeah. I feel like having a tent set up, somewhere else would suffice. It would be fine. But the blood in these sinks is what made my skin crawl on this one, because I've never experienced anything where like a ghost, which then again, I don't think I've ever experienced a true demon. Thank God. I don't ever want to. I don't know how to do that thing, but I don't ever want to. That was really scary. I'm like, Miss Tigress, you can. That's all you, baby. But I, I, I would probably, honestly, like, if we're being completely transparent, I would pee my pants if my water in my tap turned to blood. I would be like, it's the second coming. They were all right. Oh my God. I would be so scared.
I'm dead.
I'm dead.
Don't turn around.
Happened. I would turn around though too. That would be my instinct, is I would turn around and there'd be something without eyes going like right behind me, and I'd be like dead.
Yeah, that wouldn't be. Yeah, that wouldn't be pleasant.
It would not be my favorite, to be honest. All right. We are moving on, guys. into The Haunting in Connecticut. Someone mentioned this one earlier, and you were correct. It's on the list too. A Haunting in Connecticut. The Warrens played a part in. Um, I love the movie. I'm not really sure because when I watched the movie, I hadn't heard of the Warrens quite yet, and I was very young when the movie came out, so I don't remember if they even mentioned the Warrens in the movie or if they did briefly.
I think if they did it, but didn't really give them enough credit.
They didn't because I don't remember like the part where the investigators were there was very brief, and then it was just mainly the haunting stuff. I feel like.
Yeah, like they I think they mentioned them, but it wasn't focused like on them and like who they were really. It was more about, like you said, like the hauntings and
Oh, for sure, for sure. Before we get into the haunting in Connecticut, if you guys are just coming in, if you guys have been in here, this is Uncover Paranormal with Blair Woods. Hi, that's me. This is a featured show on Meet Me. So if I can't get to your comments right away, I'm so sorry. We are doing this show with Miss Jessie right over here, and we are discussing Ed and Lorraine Warren. I'm trying to when I see comments relevant to the topic, I'm trying to include you guys, but usually I don't at all. Those of you who've been here a lot know that's kind of how it works. But we are going back into the haunting in Connecticut with the Warrens. And the story of this haunting in Connecticut starts with I think it's Snedeker. I'm not saying that right. There's no way I'm saying that right. I never knew how to pronounce their name.
I think it's close to that. It's something similar.
Snedeker. It's just weird. It's a lot of weird letters in weird places. I'm not a fan. But their family, and so they had the Warrens come out because their house. If you guys haven't seen A Haunting in Connecticut, there's a lot of stuff in the movie that is a little bit off from what actually happened, but a lot of it is on point too. So the real story that goes is that they moved into the home that, unbeknownst to them, used to be a funeral parlor. That'll do it. The funeral director was even later found to be a necrophiliac. We all know what that is. If you don't know what it is, ask your mamas.
Or don't. From the question.
The two sons.
Don't ask your parents that question. Do not. If you're under the age of 18, do not ask your parents that question.
I don't think anyone under the age of 18 is in here. At least I hope not. At least I hope not. Ah. The two sons that were living in the basement at the time claimed to see beings moving about the house, which the other family members eventually saw as well, but did not at first and always passed it off as them just seeing things. Fast forward through the weird phenomena and the family members claiming to be sexually assaulted by the demons, and Ed and Lorraine Warren were called. While the story has been told on the big screen before, the film was very different from what actually happened in real life. I think in the movie though too, they don't really mention they don't necessarily one in the movie Gideon, yeah, in the movie one did. I'm not really sure that in real life that was never confirmed in any of the articles I've ever read about it, but he might have. I don't know if they just put that for the movie or not, but they I know in the movie that he had cancer. One of the kids did that were living down in the basement. And the movie was pretty on par with the fact that it used to be like a funeral parlor, like an old timey funeral parlor. I don't think that it was on par with how they like had the bodies in the spoiler alert, sorry, had the bodies in the walls and stuff. I think that was kind of.
I think they made it seem a lot weirder than it may have actually been. It may have been like a little bit less extreme.
Yeah. I think they probably did that to navigate away from having to like actually put the assaults from the ghost in there, because I don't remember that ever really being a main part of the movie where that was happening. And honestly, that's a really weird. When that happens, it's not just a normal demon. Also, I don't know if you guys know who Tana Mojo is, but whether her story is credible or not, it's Tana Mojo. I have no idea. Take that for a grain of salt. Take that with what you will. But when she was making her YouTube story time, she had mentioned one time that she had a demon over her that assaulted her. Or that wanted to. I can't remember if she ever had said that it did or not. But those are usually a range of, I think it's either a succubus or an incubus. It's not just a normal demon. It's very weird. It's a very weird thing, which is why I don't normally like. Those are the two topics that we just didn't. We've navigated swiftly around in this stream because those are weird, man. If you want to know what those are, go look them up. Go Google them.
Yeah, they're too creepy to talk about.
Yeah. They make me uncomfy. I think it'd make a lot of other people uncomfy too.
Right, like, if somebody's like, oh, there's a spider, you might feel kind of itchy. It's like
Mhm.
talking about something like that, it makes me feel like something's crawling. No, nope.
Yeah. When a demon scratch you, it can, and usually it'll leave 3 scratch marks across wherever it's scratched. And usually, from what I have been told, Alice was telling me, because Alice said that she's been scratched. I don't know if Alice is in here tonight or not, but she said that when she got scratched, you don't feel it. Like, you don't feel it at all. You don't feel the searing burn. Like, sometimes in the movies, they say you feel like a searing burn. You don't usually feel it. It just happens, and then you look down, and you've been scratched. Like, weird.
Very creepy.
Very weird. All right. So we're moving on. We're moving on to something called a Satan's Harvest.
Mm-mm.
I love the demonic ones because they're always creepy. You know,
Very.
they're always very creepy, much creepier than they should be. I love it. All right. One case that was actually turned into a book is known as Satan's Harvest. This case was about the possession of Maurice Theriault, known as Frenchie. Hey, Frenchie! Frenchie was a farmer who essentially had 2 personalities, one that was friendly towards his family and neighbors, and another that was cruel and abusive towards his children. Once Ed and Lorraine stepped in, they encountered Frenchie bleeding from his eyes and mouth, crosses appearing on his body, and even French Canadian messages appearing on his back. Frenchie, which goes back into your question if you can get scratched or not, you can get pretty beaten up by demons if they really want to. Um, let's see. Frenchie actually made an appearance in The Nun, so if you watch The Nun, Frenchie does make an appearance there, and is also seen at the beginning of the first Conjuring. So when Ed and Lorraine like talk, like when in these movies, when Ed and Lorraine talk about their instances, if you'll notice, there's a lot of Easter eggs that will kind of bring up some of these other ones that they'll talk about before or after the case to like basically kind of lead the case back on. So like if they're about to go, let's say to the Connecticut or whatever, they might talk about like, well, we just saw the Lindley Street haunting, which is the one we're going to talk about next. And then they go into whatever haunting they're going into in the movie. So that's another fun fact is there's a lot of Easter eggs in those movies. So if you ever want to learn a little bit more, there's those too.
I like to eat them. Little droplets, little like tidbits for you to find and pick up.
I love Easter eggs. Those are my favorite thing to do, and like any kind of creative like
I
thing.
know, right? Like they're so fun. Spiders are cool.
Cool. I was reading that too. I was like, Miss
Yeah.
Tigress, you should rewatch it. It's really good. All right, we're gonna dive into the Lindley Street haunting. Have you heard of this one?
Yeah, this one I liked, but I don't know. I don't get creeped out easily, but like this one is more creepy to me than others. Well, you'll explain it, but I think they'll understand when you explain it.
And you're more than welcome to elaborate too if you catch anything. A lot of these, by the way, happened in the 70s. I'm guessing because that's probably when they were in their prime, before they started getting older. But another haunted house that case that the Warrens took was back in the 70s again, known as the Lindley Street haunting. The happenings occurred a few years after Gerald and Laura Goodwin adopted a girl named Marcia, dyslexia. The case drew a lot of publicity, with several people claiming that they actually saw furniture moving by itself and a crucifix shooting from a wall. One of the eeriest elements of this case was that some people have claimed to have heard Marcia's pet cat speak, and Reverend even claims that he heard Sam the cat, is what its name is, singing Christmas carols in the basement. This is the one that freaked me out the most because if Waffles ever actually started to talk, I would like,
The thing is, there's apparently like a lot of accounts or several accounts of people hearing this cat. So it
yeah.
wasn't just like one person heard the cat. No, like this cat apparently could speak, sing,
If I'm
yodel.
correct,
Like,
police officers, there was several police officers that said that they heard it too.
mhm.
I'm sorry, but if anything that is not supposed to talk talks, I'm out. Like I'm gonna throw up everywhere and I am out. That's scary. That is so scary. Thank you.
Imagine just sitting in your room and then your dog or cat starts talking to you. Hey, would you mind petting me?
I'd be like, ew.
Nasty.
I would. A part of me also wants to ask Waffles if like if she's like okay if she if she loves me if I'm like giving her all that she needs, but also like I have to imagine if they're talking, then it's probably a demon, and I probably don't need to interact because if I interact, it's gonna try to attach itself to me. So there would be that. But oh, that one freaks me out the most. That one is the creepiest I think because the cat talks, and I just can't with that.
Yeah, and it. Ugh. You can keep going. There's more.
Trying to ignore your comments, guys. We're in the middle of a show, so it's kind of hard for me to keep up with
It's her
this.
last show, so make sure you favor her and send her all the gifts that you want to send her, because it's her last featured show.
It is my last featured show. We are retiring Uncover Paranormal as of today. This is the last one, guys. But it's okay because we got Jessie right up here with us. You guys need to go favor Jessie and show her some love. I saw you guys showing her some love earlier. Don't stop. Don't stop. Why'd you stop? Why'd you stop? We are going. I'm canceling it, guys, because I don't have time at the moment just to like to handle it and to keep up with it. You guys are more than welcome to ask me anything paranormal in my normal streams too. It's just not going to be on a scheduled stream time. So you guys can ask me any topics that you'd like to know, like on normal streams, and we can just go into it if you'd like. The spirits will revive it. Oh no. Um,
You guys are sad about her like leaving or the featured show. Featured shows are really hard to get, and they're also really hard to keep up with. It's a lot of time, it's a lot of effort every single week. I was offered one. I decided not to take it because it's too much work. You have
yeah.
to find people every single week, and you have to come up with new ideas every single week, and it's a ton. And when you're trying to do music and other things, Blair is successful musician over here. Then it's hard. It's a lot.
A lot. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who have the time to actually go through and do a featured show that would love to have it. So if I have a spot open, obviously they can put someone else in that spot. So it's a win-win for everything. Olivia is correct. Hi, babe. All right. So the Lindley Street haunting, I just would like to reiterate, creepy. If you guys want to hear more about that, Google the Lindley Street haunting. I think I have to agree with Jesse there. That's probably one of the more creepy ones again because the cat talks and because everybody heard it. Like that's like one thing if like one person heard it, but like everybody like police officers, random people, I think the priest, the people that live there, like the mailman, the neighbors, they all heard it talk, and that's just not it for me, man. Like, ugh, it's a no. I don't think it said meow. I'm sure it said more than that. I think it said that they heard it singing Christmas carols. Did you ever see? I've never seen what they thought it said though. Did you ever read anything?
Said, but I know that it sang and I know that it talked to like a lot of people. That's all I
Yeah,
know. But
it's just it's gross, man. It's gross. I can't do it. Again, if Waffles ever started to talk to me, I'd poop my pants straight up. Straight. We're gonna keep it real in the stream, guys. Straight up.
do you know?
Just
I don't remember, but they. I don't know if they figured out like if it was a demon inside the cat or if it was a spirit inside the cat. I don't know if they publicized what they found, but if any of you guys know, let
I'm
us know.
pretty sure the last time that I actually like looked into that story, they weren't able to confirm because again, it's something that's like Ed and Lorraine might have been able to confirm it was probably a demon if I had to guess, but I don't think they were actually ever able to confirm what possessed the cat. It just, ooh,
They got it out of the cat, right?
I have no idea. I'm sure they had to kill the cat to get it out of it. I don't think a cat would have been able to hold that much energy.
Yeah, or you. I don't know if how to perform an exorcism on a cat.
Yeah.
How do you perform an exorcism on a cat? I don't
Oh,
know.
Google, how do you perform an exorcism on a cat? I'm going to Google that after this stream. I'm not even gonna lie.
Google just listened. Oh no, it didn't. We're good. Okay.
I love it. I love it. All right. So we can check one thing off of our list of things not to encounter, and that's talking animals, or really just talking inanimate objects. Ugh. I've heard some, and I couldn't find. I don't think the I think Annabelle had a few moments where she talked. I'm pretty sure,
Yeah,
and
she talked or made sounds. Yeah.
yeah. it's the talking for me, man. I can't do it. I would lose my crap.
The real Annabelle doll actually left like written notes in like the original like apartment that she was like in. She would like leave notes and stuff, and she would leave marks and slashes. And just imagine waking up in the middle of the night and like looking around and things are messed up and there's scratches and notes and writing, and like there's nobody else in your apartment but it's like a doll. Like,
Yeah.
mm,
And then like seeing notes, like handwritten notes, especially if you live by yourself and you just have a random handwritten note. I'm either thinking that someone's living with me, and I don't like that. That's one of my like my if you want to ever know any hi Dave, if you want to know anything that would ever make me the most uncomfy is finding out someone has been what is it called, squatting, living in your house.
your attic or your basement. Yeah, one of my biggest.
I you would have to admit me into a hospital for the mentally insane because I would not be able to live normally if that ever happened to me. I would be so scarred. Oof.
I would have a freaking panic attack.
The music that just came on was really weird. The music went from like just normal instrumentals to someone singing
Yeah,
woo.
I heard that and I was like, is that coming from me? And then I turned my volume down. I was like, is that me? No.
It's my little thing over here. That was gross. I didn't like it. He said it was the cat. No.
No. The cat is not singing Christmas carols. It was not the cat. Nope, there's no cat singing.
I refuse to believe it was the cat. All right. We're going into the Smurl haunting. This, if you guys don't know what we're doing, we're going over some stories by Ed and Lorraine. Rest in peace, Warren. We are going over some of their more well-known ones that aren't usually as talked about unless you are actually like within the community. And we're going over the Smurl haunting with Miss Jessie right up here, guys. Don't forget to hit favorite for Miss Jessie. Um, the Smurl haunting is one of Ed and Lorraine's most famous cases. The case revolved around a family who had a demon inhabiting their home for the better part of a decade. Imagine 10 years of a demon. It's a no for me. It's a no.
Imagine calling them up, being like, hey, there's been a demon in my house for a decade. Can you help?
Yeah. At that point, oh my God. And what's crazy is this, the demon was extremely violent towards the family and even once threw their dog at a wall. If a demon threw waffles at a wall, first of all, I'd be really mad at the demon. I'd be like, let's go. You want to go there? Let's go. Like, that's my baby. Don't do it. And then I would have to also move out very fast. I'd be like, we're out of here, wife. That I don't know if you know the story, Jesse, but a very quick like summary in Palmdale when I lived in Palmdale, California for a little bit. Um, the very last day that we were there because that house was super haunted. A lot of you guys have already heard this story from me. I'm gonna tell Jesse really fast. So basically, the very last day we were there, a lot of things were happening that were weird. The first, the first couple of weeks, and then better part of like the next couple months just were strange. Cat toys were always moving. Waffles was acting really weird, and at this point, I had enough of it, so I got a new place. Last day that we were there, Haley jokingly was just like, because the door that I think the door next to me, yeah, the door next to me. So basically, here's my door. Here's a door of someone who doesn't live. Like, there's nobody in this room, and then there's another room over here. This roommate wasn't home. She was teaching, and it was just
One
her.
was teaching and was not being lived in, but then there was you.
Yeah. And so Haley and I were here packing my stuff up. This door right here went, it like opened right, and so I was like, we were already talking about the weird stuff in the house and we were talking about it, which of course when you talk about things like that, it activates it, it gives it fuel. And so I looked at her, I was like, did you hear that? And Haley was just like, yeah. I was like, you go check, you go look right now. And we asked the landlord because he had cameras throughout the house too. I was like, in the cameras facing towards the door in the garage, can you see if there's anybody that like made their way in? Nothing happened. So we looked, like we peeked out and Haley was like, yeah, the door's open. And I looked and the door was open. So Haley like pushed it, or I'm sorry, pulled it and then pushed on it and pulled on it again just to make sure it wasn't gonna come undone. And she pushed and pulled pretty hard too to make sure that it was like locked in there, The windows were not open, the air was not on. It was like, whenever, I don't know if you guys know anything about California, but whenever you're in like the northern part where like Lancaster, Palmdale is,
There's like
and about
nothing.
like in about like March, April. Usually it's kind of cold, so it's not, you don't really need the air conditioning on. So the door was just like stuck, and then Haley jokingly was like, if anybody's in here, open the door, and made it mad, and the handle on the door went and the door went flying open. I was like, we out of here. I grabbed Waffle so fast, I threw her in a little kitty cage. I was like, all right, we're out, Waffle, let's go. I was like, I left half my furniture there too. Haley was like, well, I guess we're not going to pack up the big furniture, are we? I was like, nope.
We're just going. Oh no.
Yeah,
That's so creepy and
hated it.
freaky. I
Hated
would
it.
have been like, ha 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 ha. Ha.
I couldn't imagine living with that for 10 years. Like this family. We're going back into the Smurl haunting. This family lived with a demon that did stuff like that, and worse stuff like that for about a decade. And it says, aside from the usual bed shakings and loud noises at night, one of the most disturbing elements of the case was the father's claim that the demon had actually assaulted him on more than one occasion. Needless to say, it would be a deeply disturbing storyline. That last part I didn't need to include. I'm sorry again, but it is correct. It would be a really deeply disturbing storyline, and I think in a lot of these instances where the demon does, I'm using the word assaults kind of lightly because I don't want to say the other word too many times. I feel like it kind of like triggers other people. But yeah,
Wrongfully punched them in the middle of the night.
yeah. I'm like,
It's
but
really touching.
imagine like having something that traumatic happen to you and you don't know who's doing it. Like that's creepy.
And the lights are off and like there's nobody there and you don't feel anybody around you, but you're still, yeah, nope.
Mhm. Freaky. And 10 years. They lived with that for 10 years.
Maybe the woman thought that it was like her husband or something in the middle of the night for a while and then they figured it was.
It only says that the man, so the father was the one getting,
Oh, it was the
yeah,
man, which makes it even more interesting because, like, if it was a woman,
she could have probably thought that.
yeah, but it was the man.
Mhm.
Interesting. Very, never knew that happened.
Mhm.
So, what did Ed and Lorraine Warren do? They just, that was one of their experiences.
That was just one of their experiences. I'm sure they got it out. They had probably had to have an exorcism. It doesn't really go into detail in these stories, and it made me upset. But
That's
really, really creepy.
a ghost girlfriend. That's new. Yeah. A ghost girlfriend when you have a wife.
If you guys are new to the stream, we are doing the very last Uncover Paranormal. We just went over all of the stories I'd gathered up for Ed and Lorraine Warren for the evening with Miss Jessie right over here as our guest. Jessie, we've got about 5 minutes left in the show. What is your most favorite Ed and Lorraine story?
Ooh.
Hard, I know.
Um. It doesn't have to do with Ed and Lorraine. Oh, thank you, Joe. Thank you. It has to do with their, I guess, person who now manages the um the museum. So Ed
Yeah.
and Lorraine had like a museum essentially. I don't know if I'd call it a museum. That's what they call it now, but it's like a, I wouldn't want to ever go there to tour and to look at it because it's just the statues and things that they find are really creepy. Um, there's one statue that Ed and Lorraine found, and it almost looks like a paper mache um, statue, and it's very, 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 very tall, very lanky, and it almost looks like it's been put together by a child. But the face almost has like horns, like this, like the head, and the head is really deformed. So it kind of looks like a statue that like a child might make. And they found it in the woods,
Ew.
and the like I'm getting shivers. You'll have to like look up the story in detail more. If you just type in like their, I guess their YouTube channel, or type in about Ed and Lorraine on YouTube, you'll find more. But basically, the statue is believed to be like something that people prayed to, like for demons, and it's like this really, really weird statue. And apparently, like the person who found it in the middle of the woods, it was like standing there, and the person was like really confused, and apparently it moved. It like moved around in front of like the person who found it. And I guess when they got it, they had to like tie it up and like mask it. And like it was this whole ordeal. And they've done like, I think like x-rays on the like the paper mache looking thing.
Yeah.
Um, and they've just like found that the way that it was made with like human bone and like other things. It's a very, very creepy statue. And it was found by Ed and Lorraine, and it sits in a museum, and it's not in a box. And he just stands there. And that's just one of the things in the museum. There's many, many, many other really oh, creepy things like human heads and like even like a little mirror that you would find in somebody's house, or like a hairbrush, something that would seem so mundane. These people have in this like paranormal museum, and if you touch it, you're most likely going to attach this demon to you.
Yeah.
And these things are not like even barred off, like they're just standing in the museum. So when you go for a tour, like if I really wanted to touch it, I probably could. And that's how some of these people have gotten into all this trouble, is because they touch it. But one of the only ways to keep the museum open and funded so they can keep bringing in more, items, is by keeping the museum open, because it helps fund their research, helps fund their travels to help people. They get calls in the middle of the night, 3 a.m., 2 a.m., 1 a.m., and they answer the calls, and they will go help these people. And
That's so.
it's crazy.
That's scary though. That I want to I'm going to look that up as soon as we're done with this one. That's creepy. That there's like we've done one on the Uncover Paranormal, but it's not the skinwalkers per se, but it's something like the skinwalkers where they do a ritual like that. And like when you see them like in the woods, they look like this, and they're like that, and they're just made up of like bones and stuff, and they're kind of stick, and they kind of move at you. Basically, if you see that, don't look it in the eye and run is what they advise you to do. um but I gotta say that's what that kind of gave me, like the vibes.
The creep vibes. Yeah.
Yeah, and that if that was just like, I bet you that probably moves around in their museum too.
Oh, probably. They say that a couple things like will shift or move. And if you again go to their YouTube, y'all can do your own research. They'll actually, in some YouTube videos, they'll go up and they'll put the camera right up to certain items, and they'll actually talk about the items and how they came to be at the museum. And it's so cool. And they put up videos like pretty frequently. And I think because of like the pandemic, they probably put out a lot more because they're not making money from tours. So
Probably. That's
check them
ooh,
out, give them some
that's
views.
creepy. I love it. That's
Save
creepy.
the world.
Jesse, thank you so much for coming on and being my guest on the very last episode of Uncover Paranormal.
Anytime. By the way, guys, before this ends, Ed and Lorraine Warren, I know they're dead. This is their like descendants and people that work for them that still do this work, and they run the museum. We love you, Blair. This was so fun.
I love you too. Thank you so much. Thank you guys too for being here in the comments. We did see your comments. I promise. We were trying to keep up with them. I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. I am going to be live a little bit later. Miss Jessie, when can we catch you?
Um, Tomorrow at like 5 or 6.
Tomorrow. She said, I'm going to bed after this.
So tired. It's 12 in the morning. I'm like, good night.
I love it. Thank you so much for being on here, babe. I will let you go and have a wonderful night. Guys, please favorite her and show her lots of love all the time. Bye. Have a good night. All right, guys. I am going to get on in just a second. I'm going to go grab some food, and we will have our little after show stream that we normally have, and I will see you guys in just a little bit, and we will stream throughout the night tonight. Yes, pick out songs that you want me to sing. We're going to try to see if YouTube's working tonight. All right, I'll see you guys in just a bit. Thank you guys for attending the very last Uncover Paranormal.